Why do so few games these days have couch co-op split screen like they used to? Yeah, it sucks. You probably know them, but if not, check out A Way Out and It Takes Two. Those are good couch coop games. Also Unravel 2. Dirt 5 deserves a mention too, as it allows 4-player split screen, as well as racing camping in that mode, so you don't have to unlock cars alone. As for fun little games, check out Spider Heck, Gang Beasts and Rubber Bandits. The demand isn't there. Sure, the option would be nice for a lot of people. But for a while, that was the only way to play games with friends. These days with internet, VoIP, and increasing competitive attitudes for games, people just aren't having those old school nights where you go to each other's homes and play side by side. Every gamer I know misses split screen. But might be an age thing, since we grew up with it. I think online multiplayer makes more money. You buy DLCs because you want the newest weapons or maps to stay competitive with thousands of strangers. Also, online gaming is a way to justify subscriptions. And companies get your personal data when you make an account. So you're forced to buy a second console if you want to play multiplayer. Part of it is the increasingly demanding graphics in modern titles. Consoles are already struggling to run AAA games at playable frame rates, and adding another player's view perspective to render adds a lot of graphical overhead. Honestly, it frustrates me that the few games that still have local multiplayer often won't enable it on PC. I get most people don't use it like that, but sometimes I run my PC on my TV and it's actually powerful enough to run many AAA games split screen. 1. Couch co-op typically requires twice the computing power, because instead of rendering one point of view it's rendering two. 2. Online play is more accessible to most players, much more popular and in higher demand, and has almost the same result. 3. Online play libraries exist and are well established, making online play fairly straightforward to include in a game. Couch co-op software has to be built from the ground up and introduces a few unique challenges. 4. Why sell one copy of the game when you can sell 4? Except for party games, why do so the party games have split screens instead of online coop like it was made 20 years ago? Because that's just not that popular anymore when online connections are so ubiquitous. Most people would rather play with their friend from home with a full screen to themselves. Split screen was popular back when online play was much less common. Because it's significantly harder to monetize local multiplayer vs online multiplayer, so online multiplayer becomes a much higher focus. Capitalism. Why sell one copy when you can sell two? Not having co-op is how a lot of my friends fell out of the gaming world. Hook up an older laptop or PC to a TV and take a look at Steam's local co-op section. Games like Plate Up, Rubber Bandits, Human Fall Flat come to mind as games that are easy to run locally. Edit forgot to mention that Steam Big Picture Mode had a recent update that drastically improved UI and controller compatibility options. I don't believe that the demand isn't there. I think the problem is rendering high FPS resolution games twice on one screen. A lot of games can't run 4K 60 frames per second, so I doubt consoles can run two instances of 1080p 30 frames per second. Indie games and, believe it or not, Nintendo games have an easier time doing couch coop because most of them are 8-bit or not resources heavy. I know more people who would play couch co-op with me than people who have their own console and their own game and their own subscription, because I'm a middle-aged adult, not someone in their 20s or teens. The lack of support for how I play tells me most of these games are probably made for very young people with groups of friends who game the way they do. I do play MMORPGs on my PC, though. I usually play with my wife, though, not with other people because other people is too big of a time commitment. Shrug #hash. My husband and I have this same problem. We miss couch co-op so much. It's always been something we've enjoyed doing together since we started dating. It's been pretty annoying and sad not having very many of those around anymore. We like the Borderlands series, with 2 being the best, Diablo 3 EA for the new one soon, For the King, Don't Starve Together, and Divinity 1 too. I've recently even started playing all the various LEGO games with our son and it's been fun. Any other recommendations would be highly appreciated since we're always trying to find more. Recently playing games with my GF, I've realized more so than I originally thought. I was shocked to find out Project Zomboid has a very simple couch coop setup. Props to Rocket League. Play the Switch, it has the best couch coop games. The demand isn't there anymore. People would rather go online and hang out with many friends and strangers. But I will say as a guy with a wife that enjoys games too, it's always a lot of fun when a new co-op comes out. It Takes Two is one of our all-time favorites. We've played it 3 times LOL. Kids today will never know the fury of getting killed by a friend who is sitting next to you and screen watching your tiny little square. A few reasons. Most obvious is money. Companies make more money if everyone has a console, and everyone has the game, and everyone pays to play online. That just makes sense. The other reason is split screen had hit a wall. There's nothing else that can be done with it. Games now are so big. So much to do and see. Almost a crime to condense it into half a screen. My wife and I are constantly looking for good couch co-op games. We've enjoyed It Takes Two, all the Borderlands up until BL3, which was awful, Lego Star Wars, Plants vs. Zombies. Racing games like Mario Kart may be some of the last local play split-screen games, thinking face. I think it's because we have online and there was a small war for building a good co-op game, but having 2 inputs makes the game quality significantly reduced to what single-player games were doing. But many indie and private game developers aren't making the same kinds of games and pushing that couch co-op style game in their own ways. So don't lose hope. Just understand they are a dime a dozen. Nintendo Switch still operates in the split-screen same room area, but not many others do. This is due to the internet and ease of access to just play online. Not as much of a need and likely not worth the dev dollars. I feel like the advent of online gaming made split-screen gaming less desirable necessary. That and the fact that most households have multiple TVs computers these days, so it's just way easier to give everyone their own screen now. Money. I remember when you could buy Command Conquer and get an extra disc with it so you and your buddy can play together. What bothers me now is this. New games are only online. That's why I didn't sell my old games which were one-player, split games. That's why I've recently gotten back to some old stuff with the bros. If anyone knows any games available in Xbox's Game Pass with couch co-op, could you please recommend them? Money. They get more money by selling 2 for consoles than by selling the one and having you split screen it. And then charging you to be able to play online with your friends puts more money in their pockets. Nobody has friends anymore. LOL. If you need your own screen, you need your own copy of the game and console to play it on. That's more profits for Sony, Microsoft and a lot of developers. Moneybag, moneybag, moneybag. People bitch a lot about Nintendo's poor online support, but they've been encouraging couch co-op ever since they put 4 ports on the N64 26 years ago. GoldenEye co-op was the shit and multiplayer Mario Kart still is. The developers can only listen when people speak with their wallets. Just like with trash TV, as much as we complain about Kardashians, hordes of people watch that and not the good shows that get cancelled. Similarly, hordes of people fork out money for the next Ubisoft or EA sequel clone. If they instead forked out money for couch co-op, you'd have tons of those. I wouldn't be surprised if one of the reasons is greed. Wanna play with a friend? Buy 2 copies. 1. Everyone has the internet. 2. By not including split screen, they sell 2 copies of the game instead of 1 foot. I had a gamer dude explain this recently. According to him, it's a matter of storage space. They have to copy the entire game and double it on screen. That's a fair bit of information. I can't even do split screen on my new Xbox with the old Battlefront games. Microtransactions.